Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Donut Hole, your place where a couple of guys sit around and pontificate. My name's Paul.
And I'm Jason.
And we're coming at you from our studios here in Nashville. So, anyway, Jason, I'm sure everybody kind of realized with the way the episodes have been kind of coming out lately. We had 2 weeks where there was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had a really long episode, and then we had another week where we were off.
Sure.
So, and that was all kind of spanning around our vacations. It seemed we kind of planned them all for January. Everybody knows where I went. Jason, what did you do during your vacation?
Went camping in Land Between the Lakes. Stayed out in the cold, had a stove going at the tent the whole time, and just relaxed and enjoyed nature.
Oh. So, winter camping, that seems kind of odd. Usually when people think camping, they think, summertime or spring or maybe fall, fireflies, marshmallows, all that kind of stuff. Lots of greenery. You choose to camp in the wintertime. Why is that?
Well, it started as a tradition. A few of us guys that all wanted to go camping together worked at the same place, and it was a country club, and January in country clubs is very slow. You often can get a lot of time off, not a lot of staff needed. So that's where we decided it was the only time of year we could all get together. And so we just started it, and we started noticing there's nobody there. There's no snakes. There's no insects. And oftentimes when we first started going, of course, Tennessee winters here lately have been a little harsher than they were in the past. When we first started going, it'd be 40 in the day and maybe get down a little bit below freezing at night. Seems like here lately, though, we've been hitting a few trips where it's getting down into the teens and lower, even to zero sometimes, which facilitated the buying of the stove, which has helped tremendously.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago, I actually went winter camping with you guys for a couple of days, and it was pretty cold that night as well. I think it was the trip with you, your brother, and myself, and Colby. That was definitely a fun trip.
That was, I believe that was before we had the stove, wasn't it? So there was no heat available.
It might have been,
Yeah.
Or either that or you guys didn't break it out that year, I don't remember.
Yeah. But, also getting older is part of it, too. When I was in my early 30s, late 20s, I'd handle it a little better, but we got sick of eating cold food and sleeping, waking up, and it being 20 degrees, so we finally just bucked up, got the stove, and it's perfectly comfortable in there, We got a big enough tent, you play cards, you sit around, you can cook right on the stove and just enjoy yourself. And then when the sun does come out and it's sunny, you go for a hike.
Cool. So a week long of camping in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
So what else do you guys do while you're out there?
We do a little bit of hunting. Didn't have any luck this year, but it was nice just to go out and see the wildlife. A little bit of hiking. That's about it, Generally, we try to do a little fishing. Water was high this year, so I didn't really get to do that. But mostly it's just for relaxing, and you get a little bit of exercise doing the hiking, and just witness nature, and it's very peaceful. That's one thing I really like about the winter camping is, the campgrounds aren't full of a bunch of kids running around screaming. It's just you in the woods, and that's what I enjoy about it.
Cool beans. So, I guess that was your vacation.
Yeah, pretty simple.
So, yeah, I also was gone as well for a bit. I was obviously out of the country for 2 weeks, which was a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, and I know you had sent me some pictures about this Japanese wedding you went to. So, what was that like?
So, yeah, I had a friend of mine. I met her. I was friends with the bride, which was a little awkward, I suppose, especially the fact that Indonesia's predominantly Muslim, largest Muslim country, quote unquote, in the world. Much more conservative than here in the States. And I was actually friends with the bride, which I met her when she was working in Taiwan back in 2014. Yeah, it was then. And we became friends then. Stayed in contact pretty much. And I went back in 2016, taught English there as well. Hung out some more then. But she invited me to her wedding. And she was always kind of bugging me, like, hey, you should come see my hometown. Going to that and the other. And I knew it's like, now that I've got kids, it's like, that's probably never going to happen. And so she invited me to the wedding, and I knew this was kind of like the last chance to make good on the promise, because I told her, yeah, sure, at some point I will. So like I said, she invited me to the wedding. So I'd already been in Taiwan for several days at this point, kind of getting over the jet lag, seeing friends and what have you. So one afternoon, I hop a flight from Taipei to KL, Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, slightly over there, and then a red-eye flight from KL to Jakarta. And she sent her aunt and uncle to come pick me up, and obviously the driver. So I'm getting out of the airport, I think it's like midnight, or pretty close to. And I meet her aunt and uncle, who speak probably 50 words of English, maybe, if I'm lucky. And I don't speak Bahasa. And I knew she was far away from Jakarta, but I didn't quite realize exactly how far away. So we get in the car, and we're driving. And it was also the first time I'd been in country in a vehicle on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, in Indonesia they drive on the right. So that was definitely interesting too, because if you're overtaking, in the opposite lane, it's really awkward. But anyway, so we're driving through mountains and jungles and all kinds of craziness. Stop off a couple places, for snacks. We actually stopped off at a cafe to just get some coffee and kind of wake everybody up a little bit. And we drive. And then about 9 o'clock in the morning, we're showing up to the wedding. In this place, literally rural central Java, Indonesia. And
so about a 500-mile drive around about.
I don't know if it was, I didn't know about the actual miles, but it took about 8 hours to get there.
Yeah.
So we get there. The wedding starts soon after. Right as I get there, I'm kind of saying hi to, everybody and say hi to my friend. And my friend kind of tasked her sister, I guess, with kind of looking after me a little bit. She spoke a little bit of English, considerably more than most people. So they kind of put me up in a room for a moment. It's like, hey, you can kind of rest for a moment, before the wedding starts. They bring in like some snacks and all that, and which was cool. I had some tea, some little cakes and what have you. And kind of clean it up. There was a sink in the room, kind of clean it up a little bit before the wedding. Lay down for could have been more than 5 minutes, and then her sister comes and is like, hey, the wedding's about to start, what have you. So down to the wedding we go. No sleep, obviously. The wedding. It was actually a really fun wedding, though. Very ornate. A lot of things going on. A lot of different cultural aspects on display. So obviously, Indonesia has its own culture separate from a lot of other places, and Java specifically has its own thing going as well. So there was that, and of course, it's also a Muslim wedding, so that there's obviously elements of that as well. So it's all kind of mixed and blended into this. Wedding. And in Indonesia, they usually have, I guess you would say, costume changes.
Yeah.
Periodically the wedding. So I know at one point she was wearing a black dress, at one point a white dress, another point a blue dress, another point a pink dress. And then at the end of the wedding, towards the end of it, when it was mostly just the entertainment going on, she changed into like a red hijab. So, but yeah, it was really cool. Got to meet everybody. It seemed at first everybody was kind of a little apprehensive of the crazy foreigner that showed up. Yeah. But after time, everybody kind of warmed up, and it was actually a lot of fun. I ended up spending some time talking with the neighbor, and she took me over to her place, I guess, for a moment, and met her family and her husband and everybody. And she served like various like coffee and like fruit drinks and stuff like that. Fruit smoothie type drinks. Obviously, Islamic, no alcohol. And she kind of showed me around, all this kind of stuff, which was cool, and lots of food. I mean, it was actually almost ridiculous. It was only at the wedding from like 9-ish till about 3. Yeah. And I think I had like 7 or 8 plates of food, and everyone's constantly shoving food down my throat, like, here, have some more, you should eat enough, It's like, I've eaten.
Without the alcohol part, they're gonna do the food, I guess.
Yeah, no joke.
Now because I've been to, of course, Christian weddings, like the difference between I grew up Baptist, the weddings are very short, and Catholic weddings are pretty long. Was the ceremony actually long, or was it mostly the reception party type thing?
It was hard to really describe because it was a lot of different like segments. It was almost like this huge production, if you will, because it starts out, there's the bride, the groom, the imam, and a couple other elders and parents and the fathers and the bride and groom were there, and they're doing signing the papers and the vows and all that stuff. And they're all sitting at this table. And we're observing that. It's kind of cool. And then after that, there is a break. Obviously, there's like a professional photography and videography team there as well. And then there's a break, and then there's like a comedy sketch. Seemingly, it's all in Bahasa, so I'm not catching a lot of it, but a lot of it's like physical comedy too. There was these 2 people in like tribal outfits, and they were kind of doing funny things and smacking each other. And obviously, I didn't get the linguistic aspect of the actual jokes, but I mean, obviously, a lot of kind of physical comedy, which was pretty entertaining. And then there was also like Japanese style dancing, which was cool. Everyone was trying to get me to do it, because it was kind of like, they were trying to get everybody to kind of join in. And like, I had no idea what the hell it was. I'm just like, no, I'm going to sit here and just watch. This is cool. There was that. And then there was like a procession kind of thing. And then there was like a foot washing ceremony. And then a lot of bowing and kneeling to parents and elders and stuff like that with them. And then there was a lot of photography, and then another break and more photography and costume changes and all this. And then more food and more costume changes. And I kind of felt bad for her because, and for the groom, actually for everybody in the wedding party, because they have like these really ornate costumes, really seemingly at least looking heavy costumes. And the weather in Indonesia was really interesting because in the evenings it was probably around, I would say, about 70, maybe 65 degrees Fahrenheit. It was actually just a touch chilly. Like you wanted a long sleeve shirt, maybe a jacket, light jacket. But in the daytime, it was probably like 97, 98 degrees Fahrenheit. It was hot and humid.
So there's that much of a differential between the temperatures.
Between night and day. At nighttime it was really cool, and then at the daytime it was sweltering. So, and they do I know on her, they did a lot of makeup. So so there was a lot of that with the costuming. So it's like, that stuff must have been like at least like, I don't know, 2 millimeters thick of makeup on her face. And the heat, and it's like, oh my god. I mean, I can only imagine. And there's constant costume changes. Like, they really didn't get to like relax at the wedding until the very end. From what I saw, it was mostly go, this. It was very, so I mean, what part of it's the wedding, what part of it's the ceremony? I mean, I don't know, or the reception. I really don't know, but it was just a lot of things going on.
It's so interesting that it's so different from what I know of Islamic weddings in Saudi Arabia, which I never went to one. It's kind of one of those things in Saudi Arabia. The white people generally don't show up to any of the Islamic events because they're very much more strict. But for example, like you were talking about the dancing. Well, generally in the Arab Islamic world, in Saudi Arabia at least, the men and women don't dance together. They'll dance, but separately from each other. So that's an interesting thing that's quite the difference.
Yeah, there was actually, it was kind of funny because at the very end they kind of busted out like wordless karaoke with some guy with a Casio keyboard, and one of the guys that was part of the slapstick duo became like kind of the court jester of things. And with that, there was also these two pseudo pop stars over there that would sing, and they were like no hijab, very kind of Western dress, almost like Western bar dress, kind of short skirts, kind of all this kind of crazy stuff. And they're up there singing too, providing entertainment. But it was like not, they weren't dressed conservatively at all. It was almost like night and day.
Which is once again not something you would never see in the Middle East.
Yeah, it was
maybe in Lebanon or Syria or somewhere like that, but you would never see that on the peninsula.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Of course, they got me up for karaoke. They didn't really have a lot of the songs like that I knew, so it was not necessarily really good. It was pretty bad, but it was still, I think, fun.
Now, I know you speak a fair amount of Chinese, so did many people there speak Chinese, and were you able to communicate that way?
It was kind of funny because I talked to a couple people, and it was the ones that spoke any Chinese would also speak some English, so it was really the point.
Okay.
That became kind of the thing because people would constantly ask me, "Oh, do you speak Bahasa? Do you speak Bahasa?" They're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't speak Bahasa. I speak English and Mandarin." And they're like, "Oh, okay, if they spoke in English or what have you, they could, they would speak English." But some of them spoke a little bit of Mandarin, so it was kind of funny. I tried speaking to them in Mandarin. They're like, the Mandarin's terrible. My English is just a little better. So stick with that.
Right.
So, where it's kind of funny, my friend actually, her Mandarin's better than her English. So a lot of times when we were hanging out like in Taiwan, we would speak more Mandarin than English. We would speak some English, but mostly, I would say probably like 60% Mandarin, 40% English when we were hanging out.
Now, is that language a regional or is that a national language there?
Where?
In the Bahasa.
Bahasa. So in Indonesia, there's the word Bahasa just means language. So Bahasa Indonesia is the national language that's supposed to unify the country. Kind of like Mandarin is supposed to unify the country in China. But that doesn't mean that different areas don't speak local dialects or local languages. I say dialects, languages really at the end of the day, in both cases. So like there are like, I want to say like 12,000 or some ridiculous number of languages in Indonesia.
Same like in India, where they can all kind of understand each other, but it's a massive amount.
So everybody is supposed to speak Bahasa Indonesia, but people will speak Bahasa Java, Bahasa Bali, Bahasa, like all these different. There's thousands of languages.
Now, would the languages be similar? Like, say, like Latin languages are all similar, and you can kind of understand a few words here and there. Like, if you know Spanish, you understand a word or two in Italian.
It would be more
things
like
that.
It would be probably more akin to Spanish and Tagalog.
Okay.
Or like French and Romanian, more like that. With some there'll be a few words here and there.
So a little further apart than your standard Latin languages.
It would be actually Bahasa Indonesia and Bahasa Malay would be closer than a lot of the other Bahasa languages in Indonesia. So Bahasa Indonesia is pretty easy, but some of the other languages will be they can be as far as night and day different, totally different.
And so, what about the Taiwanese part of your trip?
So yeah, I get to Taiwan. There's a lot of friends. It was a lot of fun. I get there and trying to think. It was a lot of. It was kind of a blur because it was constantly go right. So I didn't sleep too well the night before because I had to work before I left for the trip. And the actual night before my trip, I didn't sleep at all because I was just too excited. So then fly over. Didn't really sleep much on the plane either. Get there. And it's immediately drop stuff off and go. And it was kind of hit the ground running. Jet lag was kicking my butt. Not so much like I wanted to sleep. It's like I couldn't sleep. And part of that was the excitement. So I think the first week there, and this was leading up to the trip to Indonesia, I think I got maybe 18 to 20 hours of sleep that week.
For the entire week?
For the entire week.
Yeah.
It was just constantly go.
Yeah.
It was just hit the ground running, go, visit everybody, try to get as much crammed in as possible. And then get back from the wedding, slept actually a bit on the plane. I think I slept most of the flight from Indonesia to Kuala Lumpur. I think I was out 90% of the flight.
Yeah.
It was,
by that time you were wore out.
Yeah, it was that whole week of no sleep kind of caught up with me at that point. So the next few days I kind of rested a little bit more, but a lot of visiting friends. Didn't really do anything that would be super crazy, super fun by most people's standards because the town I was in was where I spent most of my time in was the city of Taoyuan, which if anybody knows anything about Taiwan, so everybody says they fly into Taipei. That's actually not necessarily usually true. Usually fly into TP or Taoyuan International Airport, which everybody calls Taipei, but it's like 45 minutes south of there, and kind of not a city that's known for anything fun and exciting.
Yeah.
Most of the, tourist guides will have a little section in it. It's like, Taoyuan, this is where the airport is. There's a couple of little things to see, and that's it. Moving on. And then there'll be pages upon pages for other places to go.
Right.
So the only reason I was there because I got a nostalgia factor, and this is where I had lived before, and this is where I had friends and all that. So a lot of that was kind of...
So analogy would be kind of like a Murfreesboro and Nashville,
yeah.
What are you doing in Murfreesboro? Get your butt to Nashville kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of like that. So, I did go to Taipei a couple times, went to one of the night markets in Taipei, a couple of things like that. But by and large, most of my time was spent in Taoyuan.
Yeah. Now, I know you had mentioned some of your Western friends over there were wanting you to bring things to them. So what were the kind of things that they really missed that they couldn't get?
Yeah, so, a lot of friends were having me bring things. I know my friends Martin and Jenny. Martin is from Belize, Jenny's from the States. There are a couple. And Martin's birthday had either just come by or just happened, I think. And she wanted to get him something really nice for his birthday. He's from the Caribbean, obviously he's from Belize. So she wanted me to get some actual Caribbean rum. So that would be something that she probably would have found it there, but it would have been really difficult to source and it would have been in the butt. So she just asked me to bring that. So I brought that. I brought over a couple boxes of mac and cheese. Brought over a bag of Reese's, peanut butter cups, because that's something that's really hard to come by there. Twizzlers, cherry bite candies from a friend of mine, and vape juice.
Really?
Vape juice, yeah. Because technically, vape juice is legal to sell in Taiwan, but you can't sell it with nicotine in it.
Okay, so you can only have flavor.
Only flavor. So what people end up doing is they go to a doctor and say, hey, I'm trying to quit smoking, give me nicotine tablets. So then people have to provide the nicotine tablets
dissolve
powder and try to dissolve it in the e-juice.
Try to do the math to make it to certain percentages.
And it's a joke. Yeah. So it's like, hey, Paul, you're coming to Taiwan, bring me some proper e-juice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay. And I brought some other things too. I can't even remember.
That strikes me as odd in a culture where smoking is so pervasive
Mm-hmm.
that the nicotine would be illegal in the vape juice.
Yeah, well, smoking is not quite as pervasive in Taiwan as it is, say, in mainland China, or,
Right.
God forbid, Indonesia. Indonesia, it seemed like everybody was smoking. It's
Right.
like 80-90% of the population. It was insane.
Mm-hmm.
But in Taiwan, it's less, and it's becoming less and less as standard of living is improved. I mean, it's a first world country that thinks there's a big anti-smoking campaign currently in Taiwan. So, but yeah, it's kind of funny that e-juice is like, no, you can't have this.
Yeah.
Especially because a lot of people would use that as a substitute for smoking anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
it's what are you guys doing here? This is an opportunity to try to phase out tobacco products. Missing the boat.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of nuts. So I guess we're gonna take a quick break here and get back to more talks about the vacation here shortly.
Oh, hey there. If you guys are liking the content you're seeing here on the show, be sure to press that like and subscribe button right down there. And, of course, the bell notification. And if there's any content you'd like to see Jason and I go over, kind of cover that, I'm more than happy to do that for you guys as well. So, again, reach out to us at the Donut Hole Show at gmail.com. And we'll get back with you guys and keep the content fresh and cover the stuff you guys want to see. Okay.
So we're back from the break. So we were talking last. We were mentioning, I guess, the trip to Taiwan. What other questions you got about the trip? I guess.
What the countryside is like, the more rural areas. Is it a completely different? Because I know in America we're kind of transitioning where rural life's pretty similar to city life.
Mm-hmm.
People work with, farming is kind of going away, going to factory farms. Do they live a more traditional lifestyle in the rural areas there?
So, this question for Indonesia or Taiwan?
Taiwan, because Indonesia, I would suspect, they do live a more traditional agrarian lifestyle.
Yeah. So in Taiwan, I didn't spend too much time this trip back in the countryside, but I mean, I've visited the countryside before when I was there last time, and actually living there. So, like, the further out you get, I mean, you can get some more agrarian type lifestyles. And it's kind of funny because the whole west coast of Taiwan is very urban, very, a lot of cities, a lot of like, it's kind of funny because, like, during the Chinese Civil War, when everybody retreated to Taiwan, all the people kind of hit the west coast and stayed.
Yeah.
There's a few that came over. There's some towns or larger towns, small cities on the east coast, but by and large, it's much less developed. It's a lot more slower pace, a lot, more like that. And then in the central of the island is usually where a lot more of the native Aboriginal peoples live. So up like in the mountains and what have you. So it's also totally different. So there's like a lot of different cultural things happening in Taiwan. Like I said, on the west coast, you have a lot of ethnically Chinese. That's really what that is. East coast, a little bit of that, but more of a mix with, some of the Aboriginals and some of the other peoples that have been there. And obviously it was also a Japanese colony for a while as well. So there's that. And then, like I said, in the center, you have a lot more of the Aboriginals. And the Aboriginals usually have much more of a ruralist type, I guess, lifestyle with hunting and fishing and gardening and all that kind of stuff.
Do they still live like a tribal lifestyle, or is it kind of more like the Aboriginals in Australia, where they live in houses and whatnot? But
no, yeah, they definitely.
It's kind of a blend.
Yeah, it's more of a blend. They definitely live in houses, but they'll have like a lot of cultural things. Sometimes for different things, they'll maybe rock like some of the tribal dress or what have you. But usually, by and large, it's they have houses. And, so it's pretty normal like that. But they'll also have like different customs and things in their own language as well. They all speak generally Hakka. There's a couple other smaller languages as well, but Hakka is the big one. So there's that. So yeah, kind of funny actually going back to rural life in Indonesia because I didn't drive, but we rode through a lot of the countryside. It was really an interesting experience, I think, overall, because it was definitely very different from other things I'd experienced in Asia. The food, like I said, the wedding was really good. But something that kind of struck me as really odd and kind of striking is poverty level was pretty high in a lot of places. like even I'd say even probably in some instances more so than in some parts of the Philippines from what I saw. And pollution was pretty rough. In the cities, obviously a lot of car exhaust and what have you. But even as you're going through like the mountains, where sometimes you would get a nice whiff of nice, clean, fresh mountain air, and that was nice. But other times the wind would blow the wrong way, and it seemed that there wasn't really much in the way of garbage pickup.
Yeah.
So people would take to burning their garbage,
Right.
which has its own very unpleasant odor.
Yeah.
So that was a thing that I noticed quite a bit. As you're going through the mountains and you drive into the location and what have you, and then once in a while the wind would blow the wrong way, and it's like boom.
Yeah.
Burning trash flags.
I've burned a lot of trash in my life with the my grandmother. Just no trash pickup out there. You burned it in a barrel.
Yeah. So that's exactly what
I know how unpleasant that can be. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, especially when you have a lot of things that are prepackaged and what have you, and whatnot. That is definitely
the plastics.
A lot of plastics and stuff. But it's just that part of it was a bit unpleasant. I would say probably the most unpleasant part of the trip. But the people, like I said, were really friendly. I really enjoyed the experience overall there. Definitely much more to see and do. Won't be my last trip, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I've been to Java, so that was cool.
Well, it's a rather large country.
Yeah, it definitely spans a large geographic area, and there's thousands upon thousands of islands to visit, and each one has its own thing going. I think my next place to go in Indonesia would probably be, obviously I'm going to have to land in Jakarta, but I think Bali is going to be the next stop. Probably not going to go to Sumatra anytime soon, and if I do, I'm definitely going to stay very, very far away from Aceh. And that was kind of one of the running jokes, because I remember talking to some of my friends in Taiwan, and they were all worried about me because here I am going to Indonesia by myself to far off in the middle of nowhere, and they're like, "Sure about this, Paul?" And these are friends that are well seasoned expats living in Taiwan. They're like, "Hey, this is a good idea." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, man, it's gonna be fine.
Be fine.
I'll be fine." And if not, I'll send you my coordinates. If you don't hear from me by Monday or something,
yeah,
begin to worry a little bit then. But
yeah.
It was like, I'm like, I would not be going if it was in Aceh, though. And they're like, yeah, I definitely agree with that.
So was there cell phone service where you're at? Or,
yeah, there was.
Really?
Oddly enough, for the most part, I mean, the data was a little slow. Because that was actually kind of part of the problem with karaoke, right? Like, they didn't have one of the songs I wanted to do. So I'm trying to download the song, and I got it pulled up on YouTube, and it seemed like playing. So I'm like, okay, so I can play, singing probably like a minute and a half into it, buffer.
Yeah.
Felt like an idiot.
Yeah.
So that was kind of terrible. But no, yeah, I picked up a SIM card at the airport. It wasn't terribly expensive. I think I only got like the 3-day plan or whatever. So I just wanted to make sure I had enough. I knew I was only going to do that for like a day and a half, but it's like, do this.
Right.
I think it was the smallest unlimited plan they had or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, I'll take that. And yeah, slap SIM card in the phone. And because I always buy unlocked cell phones, use them anywhere.
Yeah.
So it was the same thing in Taiwan. Grab a SIM card at the airport, slapped it in the phone, called it a day. Great. But yeah, for the most part, very few places did I ever hit like a dead spot. Even in the middle, like where the wedding was at, for the most part, I had signal.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I would kind of walk off in directions, like, oh no, I'll go back this way,
Yeah.
like you would in any really rural place. But yeah, I'd say really good cell service by and large. I think the second thing I would say I didn't like about Indonesia though would be the money.
Yeah.
It was unwieldy. I mean, in Taiwan, they have the smallest banknote they have is 100. The largest is a 2,000, which is rare. You usually get a 1,000. That's reasonable. You can kind of judge prices on that pretty easily. Anything less than 100 is going to be a coin. Okay, that's easy. With one being the smallest coin there. In Indonesia, it was the largest or the smallest bill was a 1,000, and the largest bill that I saw was a 100,000. And I'm sitting here getting prices. You buy like a bottle of water at a convenience store, and it's 17,000. You're counting through your money. Oh, this is a 1. This is a 20. No, I don't need that. Or you're trying to, this is a 500,000. I don't want you just kind of juggling the money here, trying to figure out how to pay for the thing. So you just usually half the time I noticed I was doing this, just giving them the big bill. It's like, give me change. It's just so much to especially with no sleep too. It probably didn't help. But it was just like,
Yeah, they could eliminate some zeros.
Yeah,
You know?
that would be kind of nice.
Yeah.
If they just kind of like start slashing some zeros off the money. That
Yeah.
would be great. Just re-release the money. Say we'll buy the old dollar or the old rupiah at this price, and here's the new rupiah with less zeros. That would be fantastic. Not been to Vietnam yet, but they have the same problem. Lots of zeros.
That's why it's nice to have currencies that are tethered to the dollar.
Well, there's that, I suppose. But in other ways, I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily tethered would be a great thing because who knows what the U.S. dollar is going to do.
Well, that's true. But it just makes it easy. Like in Saudi Arabia, it makes it easy. It's always the same. It makes it easy to buy stuff. It changes slightly, but it's usually about 3 reals to the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the biggest bill is 500, so it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah,
because it was always that way.
yeah, 3 to 1's about what the exchange rate usually is in Malaysia for Malay ringgits, and that's actually a little irritating. I did not have the most positive experience at the airport in KL.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like the way that the airport's laid out. I think it's laid out like crap. It's very inconvenient, very kind of. And found the people in Indonesia were much more friendly by and large than the ones in Malaysia. But Malaysia just kind of gave me a weird feeling. I'll probably go back again at some point and just try it again. But first impression was not good.
Yeah.
And it was really irritating because when I left the airport, when I finally got back from the wedding, because like I said, I left at 3 in the afternoon. We got back to the airport like right before my flight, like maybe an hour before, or not even an hour before my flight, maybe like 45 minutes before my flight, which left at like 4:30 in the morning. So I noticed there was a money change place that was open before the security and all that, but I didn't know how long it was going to take here, so I was immediately through. And then I get through, and it's like, oh, no money change places are open. Damn.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, I figured, Malaysia and Indonesia, they share a similar language, so a lot of cultural aspects are similar too. I'm like, it should be easy to exchange money there. So I go there. I'm like, I want to exchange some of the leftover Indonesian rupiah for US dollars. And they're like, no, we got to change it to Malay ringgit first. I'm like, okay. So what should have been like $150 US worth of currency, they wanted to give me $88 or $80 for. I'm like, no, just give me my money back. I'll use it again on another trip. So,
right.
So I get, now I have millions upon millions of rupiah for my next trip. It's kind of funny because the cost of the car to it from the wedding was like 3 million rupiah. So it's like, at least it's something.
Or if you want it that bad, just drive down to Atlanta Airport. I'm sure they got money exchange there.
No, something I noticed is I never change money in the U.S.
Really?
I get worst rates possible. We have a very inflated opinion of our currency here.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, well, this is what the exchange rate is on the normal open market, but we're going to give it's going to be worse than if I had changed it in Kuala Lumpur. Yeah, I experienced that. I noticed that the first time I went to China back in 2008, it was that way. Because I changed a little bit of money here before I left. And I got a garbage exchange rate. And actually it was kind of funny too, because I told my folks that because I was renting the place. Well, actually we had bought it. I had gotten a buyout on it because I told them at some point when we went to buy this place that I was going to. He's like, "Hey guys, so I moved out when I was 19. This is going to be kind of a long story. Moved out when I was 19. At the time, I was like, get an apartment and what have you. They're like, no, we think we should all buy a condo together. A real estate investment thing. So we were living in Florida at the time. And I'm like, if you guys really want, but keep in mind, I'm in college right now. At some point, I'm gonna, want to go overseas and do this, that, and the other. And they're like, yeah, fine, whatever. They kind of probably didn't take me seriously. And got to a point where I finished my associate's degree, got a TOEFL certificate. I'm like, okay, guys, I'm going. I'm booking my flight now. And they're like, oh crap. So they bought me out, or my part of the investment out of the condo, which was great. And they let me keep my stuff there, but they're like, hey, kind of throw us some money for this, so for leaving your shit here. So I said, okay, fine. So I saved some money, which should have been several thousand US dollars, but when I didn't change it in China, which was a mistake. And the reason I didn't change it in China is because it was a little too much to change because I was not on a proper visa type. So I didn't want to have to deal with too much of explaining why I was on the wrong visa and all this other stuff, because when I went over there to work, I worked through a placement agency, and the placement agency, I'd only signed a 6-month contract. And they were a little too cheap to spring for the proper visa, but they basically had paid off some officials and said, yeah, this is okay for you to work on a business visa as opposed to a work visa. And that's kind of what happened. But since I didn't have the work visa, changing money back out of Chinese money to U.S. money would have been complicated at that point. So I basically handed them the money to change back here in the U.S. They took it to the bank. They got hosed, which should have been, I think should have been like $4,000 or $5,000. They got like $2,500 out of it.
Oh man,
it was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm like, guys, this is terrible. Like, we'll figure something else out. This is not acceptable. I'm like, I would have gotten a better rate at the airport than this. This is a trash rate. And they were saying, yeah, just give me your crappy money. That's their fault for being retarded.
Yeah.
And not realizing that you can say no to the exchange rate someplace and get it exchanged somewhere else. I would have been better going to Nashville and getting it exchanged there.
Right.
It was abysmal. But kind of lost track of the initial spot we were at.
Well, we were talking about money exchange, which it leads into what we talked about with Bitcoin and all that stuff, which is not going to be Bitcoin, obviously, but proof of concept never really is the one that takes over. But with the technology of the world right now, you would think that you could just scan your check card anywhere you go, and the money comes out of your account, and even if it's in U.S. dollars, it would be fairly easy to create a computer program that would instantly calculate the amount, and but I guess we're just still not quite there.
Well, actually, because part of the time when I was staying in Taiwan, I was staying with friends. But other times, I got a hotel room. And when I usually got a hotel room, I would book my hotel online because I surprisingly get a much cheaper rate that way than going and showing up and saying, "Hey, I'd like to book a room," which I realize is not the way to do it. And thankfully, so I got a credit card that also provides airline miles, and one of the perks of that is no foreign transaction fees. So they would give me the price in the local currency, key it in, actually book it online, pay for it online,
right,
most of the time, and just show them, hey, here's my passport, here's my credit card. They're like, okay, cool. And then actually at one time I wanted to pay in cash afterwards, and like, no, sorry, you already paid with your card. So I didn't want to get the balance too high on it, but but that worked out pretty well because, like I said, no foreign transaction fees, reasonable, pretty close to the proper rate, and that was actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
And I can use my U.S. debit card at banks over there on some of the ATMs to pull money out.
Yeah.
Of course, I am going to get hit with a transaction fee. But,
right.
But yeah, that's kind of how that worked out. It worked out pretty well.
But yeah, you'd think that moving towards a cashless society eventually, when everything's just a number on a piece of paper, it would make things a lot easier. Also makes currency a little more dicey on the values of currency when there is no paper money to really back it up. But could be a lot more convenient for world travelers.
Yeah. And like I said, at the end of the day, having the card with no transaction fee was really nice.
Yes.
So, and plus I racked up enough miles, I think I got a free flight at this point.
But I guess if you're wealthy, it fixes everything. You just scan the Amex Black card everywhere you go. You don't really care.
Well, there's some places in the world where you can't do that.
Really?
Yeah, God forbid you're in like the middle of. We stopped off at one of the little roadside stands in Indonesia to get like a bottle of water, and snacks and stuff like that. Yeah. You have to have something.
Yeah.
Hell, I think I gave the lady too big of a bill. She actually had to run to get change, and it wasn't the biggest bill either. It was like one of the next couple down. She had to go bring her change. So yeah. Yeah,
and really, when you think about it, even it's only been a decade in the U.S. where we've had the ability to just scan your card everywhere. Because even I want to say maybe 6-7 years ago, you had to have cash at McDonald's.
It was about 12 years ago.
A little further,
yeah, a little further back.
But that was the majority of my life. Is you went to even a McDonald's or somewhere like that, or a gas station. A lot of times they didn't. That the gas stations adopted it sooner than McDonald's and the fast food places. But when people think, oh, that's backwards, well, it really hasn't been that long here where it's completely gone cashless.
Yeah, that's definitely the truth. I remember when McDonald's didn't take credit cards. And I also remember, speaking of gas station, I remember when we could pump our gas first, then go in and pay for it.
Yes. Yeah.
That's something that it almost doesn't exist anyway. You get it every once in a while, you get this little podunk town to find that happening. Still, but by and large, it's pay your gas first, then pump it, or pay it at the pump with a card. But yeah, there was actually a time when you would have to, or you could pay for or pump your gas and then pay for it.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of funny. When I was in Taiwan, obviously this time around I rented a scooter before I had one, but when I was living there, this time I'm not living there. I'm just on vacation, so I rented one from a Canadian expat who'd been living there for like over a decade, and he had like 4 or 5 scooters. I rented one from him. But when you go to get gas in your vehicles over there, you don't pump your gas.
Yeah.
You drive up to the place, you tell them what type you want, how much gas you want, and they'll fill it up for you. And that's just the way it's done. You don't touch the gas stuff. It's not. I don't know if it's like you're not allowed to, or it's just culturally not acceptable, but that's just the way it is. Like
It's the same way in Saudi.
Yeah.
There's an attendant. I know in, I want to say Oregon, and Oregon recently changed, they had a law because they enacted a law because they thought it was going to take away jobs from people. Recently they overturned it where you can pump your own gas. But it was funny. I remember reading the articles about people that lived in Oregon their whole life didn't know how to pump the gas because in New Jersey I think they still have that law that you're not allowed to pump the gas.
Yeah,
and I think that comes from more of they're trying to preserve jobs at the time. But I thought that's very interesting that even in the States we still have that in certain places. I think Jersey is the last one.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely cool though. But I guess we'll get back to some more topics on this here after another commercial break. So we'll get to you guys shortly. So we're back, and I think let's. What do you want to talk about as far as trips with this go around?
Food, one of my favorite subjects. I know you've mentioned that Taiwanese food is not your favorite.
No, it's generally speaking not. I mean, there's some dishes that are really okay, that I actually like. But by and large, what I've kind of come to experience is I like Chinese food, mainland Chinese food, specifically from like the northern and western regions. A lot more noodles, dumplings, things like that. And I find that in Taiwan, those things are generally not done well. The more the cuisine's more reminiscent of southern China, which I really don't like southern Chinese food. And because I find it to be kind of bland and just not the greatest overall. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the foods that they do in Taiwan are fine, and I'm totally fine with. And I had, I think, a couple of small things, like some of the night markets there and what have you. And some of that stuff's okay. But by and large, it was kind of funny because my diet in Taiwan was mostly with a lot of Japanese food, a lot of Vietnamese food, a lot of Thai food, Korean food, whatever, like even some American food. By and large, kind of steer clear of the Taiwanese food. Just by and large, I'm not the biggest fan of most of it. Some of it, like I said, I'm fine with, but I find a lot of it to be kind of just bland. And especially one of the things that's really common is like the lunch boxes over there. So you get like jitwei, chicken leg. It's kind of like a bland roast chicken leg with some mushy vegetables and rice, and it's like, not the greatest. It was kind of funny. Like I said, a lot of Japanese food. I went Japanese food like 3 or 4 times while I was there.
Yeah.
Vietnamese food about the same.
Now, did you get a lot of other ethnic foods there, like Indian and Middle Eastern food, things like that?
There's actually one of the, it's funny, night market. I was talking about eating some Taiwanese food there, which I did, but I also had Indian food when I was at the night market. There's like a Pakistani guy, I believe, and he does like these wraps. So he has like chicken curry and a vegetable curry, and he has like these, I guess it's like rice flour. He puts it over this big, huge, hot, like dome thing, and he roasts the flour on that and basically makes like a really thin, almost crepe type flatbread on it. He takes that and labels in the chicken curry. That's the one I got out of the chicken curry best. And he throws in some extra seasoning, which is like a little spicier than normal. And he wraps it up, and I also got one of the milk teas there, which was more like an Indian style milk tea. And that was quite good. So I think I got like 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah,
and they wasn't terribly. I think like 3 of them, and like a milk tea. I think it was like a few bucks US. So it was really, really affordable. Really good food. Enjoyed eating it quite a bit. And a buddy of mine actually, he's on some sort of goofy diet right now. But he made like this Indian food at his house with some of this stuff because he's on the special goofy diet. But yeah, I was actually staying over at their place a couple of nights, and he made way too much of it. And he's like, "Hey, help yourself to this," and I'm like, "Okay, I'll have a little bit." So I put a little bit in the microwave and heated it up or whatever. And eat it up. It's actually really good. So I took the rest of it, the rest of that container at least, because he had like containers out the wazoo of it. And I ate the rest of the container. It's actually really good. But yeah, so definitely, like I said, Taiwanese food, I'm not the biggest fan. But the great thing about being in Taiwan is all the different foods from everywhere else you can get readily, easily available.
Yeah.
And like I said, some of the Taiwanese food's really good. Like some of the, like there's a Shaolin Bao place, it's like small like soup dumplings. Those are really good. Some of the other things. And Taiwan's also known as it's where bubble tea is kind of the thing. You know, that's like a big thing there. So like some of the, like any of the little drink shops, those are fantastic. I enjoy those. But by and large, kind of your run-of-the-mill average daily kind of Taiwanese food, not the biggest fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did notice in that picture you sent me the KFC, and it's funny. The reason I noticed that is because everywhere I've traveled overseas, fried chicken seems to be a huge thing. Yeah. So is it the same way over there that it's kind of a big thing?
Yeah, fried chicken is a big thing, and actually, I've sent that picture to a few people. Everybody pointed out the KFC. That's not what the point of the picture. The point of the picture is to look at the cool crosswalk because it was almost kind of like a micro version of the crosswalk that you would see in Tokyo, right, where you can cross diagonally. And that was kind of the point of the picture. But everybody points out the damn KFC. But no, there's a saying in Taiwan that says like, if you want to be rich, open a fried chicken stand. So yes, fried chicken is popular seemingly everywhere in the world. Everybody loves it. And yeah, who doesn't?
Hey, the best Popeyes I ever had was in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
that was the best quality. Popeyes here just don't match.
Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of the thing too. You can get all kinds of crazy things while you're over there. You can even get fried chicken at the night market. One of the foods I actually managed to get, although I unfortunately didn't eat it quite fast enough because I let it cool down and it wasn't as good, but it was cold. But chicken ass.
What, the intestines?
No, like the asshole.
Oh, wow.
Like the butt of the chicken.
Wow.
And there's like some meat around it too. And what they do is they put them on sticks and they grill them up, and they're actually really good.
Yeah,
surprisingly, it's kind of one of those foods. It's probably best when you're out drinking or what have you. But yeah, actually really good. Chicken ass on a stick.
I can say I've never eaten a chicken ass. Obviously, intestines are a thing in many regions of the world, but I've never heard of the actual butthole being a thing.
Get the actual butthole.
I don't think many Americans would go for that.
I remember the first time I tried it. It was when I was living over there in 2014. And a Taiwanese friend of ours went out to the night market and picked up some snacks for all of us goofy foreigners. And various things to eat. Stinky tofu was one of them, which I recommend everybody stays away from that. That's god-awful. But she brought in a bunch of different things for us to try. And one of them was this chicken on a stick. Oh, sure, yeah, I'll take a chicken on a stick. It's great. I'm eating it. I'm like, this is really good. Nice, greasy chicken. Kind of like I'm thinking to myself, this is good hangover food. Post-drinking food. And I'm like, yeah, this is really good. What kind of, this is chicken, right? She's like, yeah, it's chicken ass. I'm like, what? And it's like chicken ass. And I can see a couple of the other foreigners that were eating it, they're kind of like putting it down. They're like, yeah, I'm going to pass on this. And I'm like, yeah, it's good. I'll just keep it. And I'm like, hey, you guys going to eat your chicken ass? They're like, no, you can have it. I'm like, great.
When in Rome.
So, yeah, that's actually pretty good.
Huh. That's funny. But then again, we do stuff in the U.S. that people would find. It's a very southern thing to eat chicken gizzards and chicken livers. And, there's a lot of people that would find that distasteful.
Yeah. And the intestines are some of the things you can find on stick, chicken hearts and all that kind of stuff. You can find that there as well.
Yeah. No, that's big in Japanese, the yakitori with all the different parts of the chicken, and you get the intestine steak. Of course, anybody that's eaten any natural casing sausage, whether they know it or not, they've eaten intestines. So that doesn't strike me as odd as the actual butthole.
Yeah, like I said, they're kind of like these little shape. They're kind of like shaped like that, I guess. And they skewer them. There's like meat around it, a little greasy on the inside. Obviously, it's clean like you would with the intestines and everything else. It's not like you're getting chicken poop or anything.
Oh, that's funny. I was reading, and I've made some homemade sausages before, and I got the natural casing, and I was reading on it about the cleaning processes. They said actually the sausage casings that you get in the U.S., the intestines, are cleaner than most any other food because the regulations are so tight because of what it is. The cleaning process, they said it's probably way cleaner than a chicken breast, which I found odd, but that's how strict they are. So, like you, if you do the proper cleaning procedures and, enough heat will kill anything.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, it's food's food.
Yeah.
If it looks good, eat it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, or smells terrible, like stinky tofu, stay away from it.
Yeah. Yep.
Food in Indonesia was also pretty good for the most part. There was a lot of dried and salted things, which I wasn't as keen on. Like some of the dried salted fish. It's like, I'm going to steer clear of that. Especially middle of nowhere. I didn't know how it was going to affect me, so it's like, I'm going to steer clear of that. But some of the curry type dishes, because it was like, they use a lot, some of the similar seasonings and what have you that I found that you would find in Indian food, but it was still a little different. Kind of hard to pinpoint exactly. And definitely some like Malay and Chinese influences in some of the foods. But yeah, the food was really good, and it was kind of funny because, obviously there's usually a stereotype that foreigners don't like spicy food. So here I am, busting that stereotype wide open when I was in Indonesia. Because, it was all the food was kind of set up buffet style. So it's like, they're showing me some of the sauces. I'm like, oh, this one's spicy. I'm like, good. So I'm like scooping it. They're just looking at me like I'm crazy. It's like, that's spicy, right? Like, yeah, I know. I just keep spoooning it on. And, then I'm sitting there eating, and they're watching me eat this. I'm like, yeah, this is good. And they're like, wow, okay, I guess that foreigner doesn't like spicy food stereotype's not always true.
Yeah, I found from working in the restaurant business around here that you've got three types of people. People that don't like spicy food, people that say they do, but yet they don't. And then the people who genuinely like it. And the people who genuinely like it are pretty rare. Most of the people, they'll say, oh, I like spicy food, but then Tabasco's too hot for them. And if Tabasco's too hot for you, you don't like spicy food.
That was kind of a bar trick that everybody used to do from time to time. It was kind of a running joke. It's like, oh yeah, let's do shots of Tabasco. Like some of the people, they're like, oh, it's so crazy. I'm like, yeah, let's do shots of Tabasco. Come on, let's go. Boom. And it's like, okay, now you have to go, you have to buy my drink next.
Yeah.
Shot of Tabasco.
Yeah. And Tabasco, to me, is fairly innocuous. I mean, it's jalapeno hot, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's, which I thoroughly enjoy, Cajun cayenne hot sauces, like, Louisiana Crystal and whatnot. But if you think that's actually hot, those are nothing. Yeah. I can put those on things like ketchup. It's just so mild.
Yeah. I'm one of those people that I'm a really big fan of the quote unquote ghost pepper. That's something I like. Tabasco sauce. It's like fucking water, ketchup, like you said.
I like sriracha because if you've ever noticed about sriracha, it has you get one bottle, nothing tastes sweet. Next bottle is actually pretty hot, and I read that, as you know, jalapenos can be either mild or I've had some jalapenos that are damn near like a habanero. But the guy, sources his own jalapenos from a farm, and he said he doesn't even try for consistency. Says, whatever jalapenos I get. You may get a mild bottle, you may get one that's searing hot. It's just luck of the draw.
Yeah.
So, because I've heard a lot of people say, oh, sriracha's too hot for me, and that made me think, they probably experienced one of the hotter ones, because I've had some bottles of sriracha that are not hot at all.
Yeah. Again, that's something I use like ketchup.
Yeah, exactly. Which, what a great story. That guy just came in and did Eastern style hot sauces in California, and just, he made, I didn't realize, I was just reading his website the other day, just because it's the business success story. He does the sambal as well. That's all the stuff with the rooster is his stuff. And he started out basically a 1970s van, making it homemade and just expanding. It was a really neat success story.
Yeah.
Just ties into that Asian food thing, and it just overtook the world.
Yeah, that's kind of funny too, because I believe his primary customers were restaurants at the beginning. Right? So he would make the sauces and batches and sell them to the restaurants. So definitely cool.
And now it's obligatory almost anywhere you go in the world.
Oh yeah,
srirachas everywhere.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because he started in California, and now you can go to places in Asia and buy it there. And it's like American Asian style hot sauce in Asia. That's cool.
Well, that's where he learned to make it. He was growing up, and it's that style. And that's a great American success story. Plus, I love sriracha. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Well, most of America.
Well, I don't know. All the hipsters seem to kind of pretend to like it. At least they buy it.
Well, I will give millennials and hipsters one thing is that they do like better food than baby boomers.
Yeah.
I think mostly, and it's their product of when they grew up, but most baby boomers have a pretty crappy taste when it comes to food. You know, it's the meatloaf and green bean crowd.
Yeah, the kind of bland, terrible American food.
Yes.
Stuff, yeah, that kind of almost northeastern
Yes.
garbage food.
And I've worked in restaurants that cater to older crowds where, you know, the chefs would be these fantastic chefs, trying all kinds of fusion cuisines, just great food these guys were producing. And the customers just basically, they just wanted meatloaf, green beans, you know, hamburger steaks, you know, just like you said, just that bland. It's not even really a regional; it's just bland Americana. So that's one thing I'll give millennials and hipsters is. Now they do take too many pictures of it, and they do brag about it too much on social media. But they do know how to eat good food. I will give them that.
I was a little guilty of that too. I think because I was down in Zhongli for one reason or another. I don't remember why I was down there, which is one or two stops south on the train from Taoyuan. I'm still Taoyuan County, but it's a different city. And I was in Zhongli for whatever. No, the reason I was down there actually was when I remember I was dropping the scooter off because that's where the guy that I rented the scooter was from. That's why I was down there. And I stopped at a little Vietnamese place, got a Vietnamese coffee and a banh mi sandwich. And I think I was guilty of doing that. I think I posted that on Facebook. I'm like, yeah, a banh mi sandwich and fucking Vietnamese coffee.
I'll give you a pass when you're halfway across the world.
Yeah, and you know, it wasn't really even that good of a picture of the food. It was mostly just me smiling, enjoying it. It's like, fuck yeah, you know.
Now, if you were in downtown Nashville 10 minutes from here, I would probably make fun of you for doing that. But I'll give you a pass since you're halfway across the world.
Yeah. So, and it was mostly just I hadn't posted anything. I didn't post most of my trip on Facebook. I need to go back to some of the photos and do that. But it's mostly just hey, look, I'm enjoying life. This is my breakfast. Yeah. Fuck you guys back in the States.
But there is nothing worse than when you're eating with one of your millennial friends and they have to take a picture of the chicken nachos at the bar. I'm like, that's really nothing special. It's just a plate of chicken nachos to go with our beer.
Yeah, I mean, unless you got the whole plate of chicken nachos for $5 or less. You know, now if you got it for $5 or less, it's like, hey, they got a great happy hour special. Get all this for $5. You're telling your friends, hey, this is a place.
Sure.
That's a little different. I'll give you a little bit of a pass on that too. But because I do remember there was a bar in Murfreesboro that I went to a few times when I lived there back in the day. And what was the name of that bar? I don't even remember. But they actually had a really good happy hour where you would get like a big plate of nachos for like $2. Something stupid like that.
Was the one over by the college?
Yeah, it wasn't by the college. It was, what was the name of that place? They have one here in kind of like Goodlettsville area too. I think Sam's, that's what it's called.
Okay, there's a Sam's in Hendersonville.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know there was one in Murfreesboro.
Yeah, they actually, at least then, that was years ago, they had a really good happy hour where you would get like personal pizzas, and they had like this whole like happy hour appetizer menu. And one of the things they had was like a chicken nacho.
Yeah, Sam's has chicken. That's one of the things they're known for.
And it was like $2 or something stupid like that. It was ridiculous. And at the same time, they also had buy one, get one on your drinks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of a cider guy, so I would order, draft cider. It was like $2 for a draft cider, and you get two of them. It's like, and there's no fun.
And it's rare you find a place with draft cider anymore.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was one of the commercial. I think it was Angry Orchard.
Yeah, but even so, you don't see that very much. I mean, even the places that have a ton of taps, you don't see a lot of cider.
Yeah. So their happy hour, I think it was like $2 or $3 for a draft cider, and it was also buy one get one. So they would literally bring you out 2 draft ciders, and and about another $2, get a plate of nachos. I'm like, hell yeah, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
Hang out there for a couple hours. Just getting couple of drinks and some food. It was like less than $10. It's like, oh, cool, this worked out. And I was broke as all get out at the time.
I found that in Murfreesboro they had a lot of good deals because of the college. And the reason I asked you if the bar was over there by the college, because I can't remember the name of the bar, but I had a friend that I would go visit, and we would go to that bar, and it was so cheap. Everything was so cheap because college towns are great for that.
Yeah.
If you want to get a cheap appetizer and a beer, you're good to go.
Yeah. So that was actually kind of cool. And then I remember my last night there, I was hanging out at the bar that I would always frequent when I lived there. And I talked to the owner, who's also a friend of mine, and basically it set up
me hosting karaoke last night, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. Seeing, it's all my friends, most of which actually came out that night, and we all hung out, sang and drank, and just had a good old time. Although, damn you, Nathan, for picking "Leaving on a Jet Plane" as the last song of the night, making me cry and stuff and look like an idiot.
I'm sure the alcohol had a little bit to do with it as well.
It might have a little bit, but it was sad because the words of the song were pretty reminiscent.
Right.
It's like leaving on a jet plane, don't know when I'll be back again. So it's like that kind of stung a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Taiwan and Taoyuan, and specifically that bar, it's like a second home to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, that definitely it stung it a little bit. It's like, it sucks. A lot of good people there. I didn't want to leave.
Right. But you'll be back someday.
Yeah, I don't know when, but I will be back again.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just waiting for the kids to get a little older and get to the point where they're travelable age. If that's a word, but old enough to be able to put them on a plane for a long time and not want to throw them out of the airlock.
Apparently, the first time I was on a plane, I was in a cardboard box. Keep in mind, this is the late 70s.
Yeah.
And my mother said, first time I was born in Germany, had to go back to the States.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really, back then, they didn't really have the provisions to do this. So they're just like, put some blankets in a cardboard box. Put your baby in the cardboard box.
Put him just under the seat, right?
Yeah, just right there. They didn't, I think she said they didn't even make her buy a ticket. It was just
usually for infants, they don't. Yeah. If they're small enough to hold them, you can do that. You're fine.
And of course, I don't remember that. That was just to go from Germany to the States to visit the family and then show off the newborn baby and then come back to Germany. And so when people say, "Have you ever flown?" I'm like, "Yeah, way before I can even remember in a cardboard box."
Yeah.
So growing up to me, it was just second nature. So by the time I was even 2 or 3, it didn't seem odd to me.
Yeah, I didn't fly a lot as a young kid. It wasn't until I was a teenager that I flew, but at that point I started flying a lot. I would take trips a lot, most of which at the time were domestic. First time on an airplane, was visiting my step-grandparents out in California. I believe that was the first time I was on a plane. But yeah, since that point, which was kind of funny, so it's like, from Nashville to California, LAX, first flight. So I'm talking about a long flight. But then moved down to Florida. I would usually fly up to visit family when they were up here and all that kind of stuff. And
just makes it so much easier.
A lot of that. A lot of flying. I did that a lot. And then, so at a certain point, late teenage years, early 20s, what have you, flying was pretty second nature. It's like, get on a plane. Here we go.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've not flown a lot domestic. I chose to do the road trip route, which is great when you're young. But making those 18-hour trips to Texas, we had friends in Texas that from when we grew up in Saudi, me and James did, my brother, and when you're young, that 18, 20-hour trip, that's fine. You get older, I think nowadays I would go fly all the way.
Yeah.
It just takes too much time away from your trip, and I just don't want to drive 20 hours in a row anymore.
Well, no, that's it. I mean, I would fly up sometimes if it was going to be a short trip, but if it was going to be a longer trip, I would drive.
Yeah.
I think the longest one I've done was Florida to Michigan. There was a stopover in Tennessee for a couple of days, but that's a rough one.
I think the longest one. Now there was 2 of us, so we did have a little help with the driving, but we went 18 hours straight from here to Amarillo, Texas. Helped a friend of ours load up some things. It wasn't a whole lot, so it wasn't very physically strenuous. Got maybe 1 hour of sleep and then drove 18 hours back.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. By the time we got back, we were dead. We did stop at a truck stop because we were in a van. We were helping him haul his stuff. And we did stop at a truck stop in Oklahoma and maybe catch 2 hours of sleep and then came on back through. It was rough. Yeah. After that, I said, no more driving, flying all the way.
Yeah, that kind of schedule reminds me of when I was in college because first couple years of college, I would locally, when I was living in Florida, I was living in Fort Myers. Graduated Edison State College, which is now called something else. They changed the name of it. But went to school there. I took a couple classes at FGCU and got them transferred in as well, which is also right there in Fort Myers. But for the second half of my degree, I went to FIU in Miami.
Mhm.
So living in Fort Myers, driving in Miami, good 2.5 hour drive, easily, and really grueling schedule. I kind of managed to get my classes, so I only had to go like twice a week, which was good because I would do some online as well. But nonetheless, it was usually get up early in the morning, drive to class, go to class, leave class, drive back, go to work. And so it was just like constant no sleep kind of deal. A lot of caffeine, grams of it, not milligrams, but grams of it. So anything to keep awake during that time. So definitely relate to the no sleep. And yeah, there were a few times when I would just be so damn tired I had to pull over and just sleep in my car for 45 minutes or whatever, an hour. Just get something.
And plus we had those fun days with Footprint where we drove 400 miles a day sometimes. And
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. It's definitely fun.
Well, and for the end here, I do want to bring up that it is Super Bowl Sunday, so we're about to start preparing food for that. But I just want to say, I hate you, Tom Brady. I hope you never play again in the Super Bowl. That's all I want to say. I'm not even a Rams fan. I just hate the Patriots.
It's kind of irritating that the same team wins again and again.
Yes.
And again. I mean, I don't really care about sports one way or another.
Yeah. And that's the only reason I say that. It's not because I really have any special animus towards the team or Tom Brady, who is probably the greatest quarterback of all time. I don't like to admit that. But how much can you take? Same team over and over again gets pretty boring.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I am with it. I mean, I really don't care about sports one way or another. I mean, they cancel football entirely altogether and say, oh, football's illegal. I'm not going to really care one way or another. It's not going to affect me in the slightest. But I think the same team going again and again does make it a little dull, especially because they win most of them.
Well, they lost the last one, so that was good.
Small miracle, right?
But yeah.
It just seems kind of ridiculous. The same team always.
Yeah, he's 3 for 5. He's won 3 out of 5 that he's been in.
Yeah.
So here's hoping it goes 3 for 6 today.
So anyway, we'd like to thank you guys for watching. And again, if you guys have any content you'd like to see or what have you, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the program and what you want to see in the future. Anyway, you guys have yourself a good one, and we'll see you again here next time.
Have a great day.
Bye.